Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are ranking the Championship stadiums for the upcoming 22-23 season. Now obviously we've got some new teams coming down from the Premier League, new teams coming up from League One, and let's see if my opinions have changed on some of the teams that have stayed in the Championship as well. Just before we get into this video, drop a big like on it, subscribe of course, and let's start with St Andrews, which is a tricky one because Birmingham City haven't got it fully open. Well, they didn't last season anyway. And I've been to this ground more than any other except for the Rico or the CBS, which is Coventry's ground. And that's because Coventry ground shared at this one. So I've been in the home end here, I've been in the away end here, and I actually quite like it. I think it's a solid Championship stadium. With the issues there at the moment, it does restrict the amount of fans that can go in the both home and away ends. But I still think it's solid, and when it's fixed, it'll be looking good again. So Birmingham City, I'd say it's a solid one. Very good fans, I will say, and a decent away day in general. Next up is Huddersfield Town Stadium. Now this one grew on me a bit last season because Huddersfield Town did really well and the fans really got behind them, and you know what, decent away end as well. I think a lot of things are ticking boxes for this stadium for me. So I'm going to put Huddersfield Town in great. I think it's a great away day. Obviously, I like going to Yorkshire away days. They're always quite fun. And yeah, passionate fan base, good away end behind the goal. I think great, and I'm looking forward to going there next season. Next up's Kennewith Road, and I could go on about all the positive things I want to say about Luton Town. Their stadium isn't really one. Obviously, you can say it's unique. I agree. It's different as well. But if we're talking about size here, it does have to go in that small category. I think Luton Town would be able to fill a 20,000-seater stadium, definitely. But this one only holds 10,000. So for that, I'm going to put it in small. Like I say, very unique. And I do rate their fans. I rate them what they do on the pitch. I mean, they nearly got promoted. But they really do need a bigger stadium than that. Sunderland are next. Although they've just come up, they're going straight in elite. And not just because it's the biggest stadium in the league, but because they are a very passionate bunch of fans as well. I mean, I'm expecting to see most days they'll have 40,000-ish. I really honestly think they're going to be brilliant next season. Even in League One, they were fantastic fans. And now they're back in the Championship. They'll see their club is on the move again. And they'll really want to spur them on towards the Premier League. Fantastic away end, by the way. Up there, you can take 3,000-4,000, and I've had a great away day at Sunderland before. Elite. Next up is Blackpool's Bloomfield Road. I like this stadium. I won't lie, it is one of the smaller stadiums because it only holds 18,000. Their fans are good though. I think as an away day, I'd say it's a great or elite away day. If we're just looking at the stadium here, I'll go solid. I'll say solid. I think it's a solid stadium. I think I'd be a bit harsh to put it down a couple. Maybe I'd be too generous to put it up a couple. Give us your thoughts on Bloomfield Road, but I think solid, and I'm looking forward to doing Blackpool away next season. Next up is Bristol City's Ashton Gate, and I've said before how I'd been to Bristol City before they did the redevelopments. I think I rated it then, and now it looks even better. I'm going to have to put it in great. Honestly, a great looking stadium, and they are some really passionate fans as well, the Bristol City fans. So all round, it's a good away day with good fans. I think it has to go in great. Next up is a new one. I haven't been to Turf Moor, so I'm really struggling here. Obviously in the Premier League it wasn't a big stadium. Coming down to the Championship, it's a bit more in its element. It holds 22,000, so it's still not one of the biggest. I'm going to say solid. I really haven't been, so it is quite tricky to judge a stadium when I haven't been. I'm basically judging it off what I've seen, pictures, video footage inside there. Burnley do have some good fans. The away end is behind the goal, which I quite like. I'll say solid, and I have to tick that one off at some point. Next up is Cardiff City Stadium, one of the biggest in the division. They hold 33,000 there, which is actually the third biggest in the league now. Bigger doesn't always mean better, of course, but they do have good fans. I think they averaged close to 20,000 at home last season. And obviously it's a decent away day. Cardiff as a city, it's got quite a bit going on, I suppose. Cardiff, I'm going to put in great. I like the look of that stadium, and yeah, like I say, can be an enjoyable away day. Next up, Blackburn Rovers. Now this is tricky. As an away day, I really liked it, and as the stadium itself, I really liked it. When I went, it wasn't exactly full, but I'm sure if I go again, there could be more fans next time, so I'm not going to try to judge them on that. I think Ewood Park is a very decent stadium. I like the colour scheme, I like the history behind it, and the location of it, it was quite easy to get to. There's a couple of pubs nearby. I'm going to put Blackburn Rovers and Ewood Park in. I'm going to have to put them in great because it was a great away day. 31,000, by the way, it holds. Very nice. Next up, Vicarage Road. It's going to go in great for me. I think if it's a bit bigger, I'd probably push it in elite, but because of the size, I'm maybe just going to put it in great for now. 22,000. Honestly, it's a really fun away day. I really like the design of Vicarage Road. Their fans are quite good. The away end behind the goal's really good. Yeah, I've had a good away day at Watford before. Looking forward to going there next season. Really good stadium for me. Next up, we have Hull City Stadium, and I quite liked this away day, but as I say, when I went, their fans were singing about, you know, sacked in the morning to their own manager. So it wasn't the most intimidating atmosphere because they were already turning on themselves, if you know what I mean. But as for the stadium we're talking about, it's a nice design, not one of the biggest stadiums in here. I'm going to put Hull City Stadium in all right. I think if I go again next season and their fans are a bit more passionate and behind their team, that'll probably bump it up a bit more. And yeah, like I say, a decent away end as well behind the goal. I quite liked it, to be fair. Next up is the CBS, home of Coventry City. I was obviously called the Rico before. Obviously, this is the stadium I know the best as a Coventry City fan, and it's gone up in my estimations after last season for sure. I think before that, the amount of times I've had a season ticket and we've had about 10, 12, 14,000 average attendance, it's been a bit like, we only get about half capacity. But last season, we were pretty much getting 20,000 every home game, and some games more. I think if you're an away fan coming to this, it's a brilliant away day because of obviously the fact you get a big allocation behind the goal. The facilities are quite good. There's a couple of pubs and shops nearby, so there's a bit going on. And I feel like the Coventry fans are really passionate, and they were some of the best I've seen at the CBS was last season, to be honest. It was like we knew we were going in the right direction, and we had a very good season. So it's definitely gone up in my estimations, though, after last season. Next up is the home of Middlesbrough. It's the Riverside, and it is the second biggest stadium. And I've said before how bigger doesn't always mean better, but their fans are good. And I like those away days where they're a bit of a mission to get to, and it feels like, oh, finally got here. And it's a big stadium, so you feel like you've really accomplished something to get there and you get rewarded. I think Middlesbrough's a good away day, and do you know what? I'm going to say their stadium's elite. Once they've got loads of fans in there, honestly, some of the best fans. They are very good at home and on the road. Really like Middlesbrough's fans and their stadium. Next up's Millwall's ground, the Den. Let's have a look at what I've written down about this. 20,000 seater stadium, so not one of the biggest, but obviously a good fan base, and quite a bit comes with Millwall. You know, obviously the away day itself, the away fans are sometimes escorted by the police, which kind of gives it an extra feel to it. But if you're looking at the stadium, okay facilities. I think the food was all right. I think I had a pint or two when I went away to Millwall. Yeah, I quite like it as an away day. I'm going to say it's a solid stadium. Obviously, if it was bigger, it could maybe climb a couple of places. Next up is the home of Queen's Park Rangers, which is Loftus Road, or the Kian Prince Foundation Stadium. I think QPR is a good away day. I think the tickets are a bit pricey from my memory. The away end's quite nice. I like being away up in an upper tier behind the goal. The size isn't great. It's only 18,000. I think if this was bigger, I'd maybe look at putting it in great, but down to the size, I might just slide it in all right. I do like QPR as a fan base and a club, but the stadium itself, I just wish it was a bit bigger. Next up is Reading's ground, the Madejski. I'm not going to lie, I quite liked going away to Reading last season, not just because my team won, but it was actually quite a good occasion when I went. It was their anniversary, so there's quite a bit going on. I think Reading are going to go in all right for me. I think you could make a case for them being solid. I think I went on a day where there's probably more fans than usual. I'm not trying to disrespect them or anything. Holds 24,000, so that is pretty all right, really. I'm going to say all right. I thought their fans were okay. They were better at home than they were when they came away to my team, so they're going there. Next up, Rotherham United's ground. I like the design of this, but if we're talking about championship stadiums here, it has to go in small, I'm afraid, because it's a 12,000 seater stadium, and obviously the away end, I'm not sure if it holds just under 2,000, which isn't the biggest, of course. But like I say, the design's actually quite nice. I like the roof, how it sort of goes down and things like that. So yeah, it's a nice stadium, but it's not the biggest, but I suppose it's just right for Rotherham. Next up is maybe my favourite. It's Bramall Lane. Sheffield United's ground is going straight up in elite. I love this stadium, honestly. What a stadium, what an atmosphere, what a fan base, and a decent away end as well. I think it's really, really good. The only thing I'd slag it off for was I felt like I had no leg space. Maybe that's just because I'm so tall, but I've never really had that issue anywhere else. The leg space was absolutely tiny. I was cramped up against the seat in front of me. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about how it's a great away day, big stadium. It's a Premier League stadium as far as I'm concerned. They've always got good fans. They're a loyal bunch at Sheffield United, so they're going in elite. I mean, it holds 32,000. It's a very, very big stadium. Next up is Stoke City's ground, and I haven't been to this one still. I was going to go last season, but then it was on the final day and I didn't get round to it in the end. Holds 30,000. I am going to put it in great or solid. Oh, because I haven't been, it's harsh to put it in a lower category. So do I have to put it in great for that? I suppose based on what other people have said, it is a decent away day in terms of big fat away end. They can be quite passionate as well. I suppose it depends on how their club is performing. But yeah, it's quite a nice stadium really. Stoke City holds 30,000, so it's one of the bigger ones as well. I will tick it off next year for sure. Next up is a ground I definitely have been to, the Liberty. I like Swansea. I like their stadium as well. Once again, not the biggest. I will say solid because it's not that big. It's 21,000. They do get decent numbers in there. Like I say, it's a bit of a tricky one to get to because Swansea's a bit tucked away from most places, but a solid away day, a solid stadium. I quite like the location. There's a couple of things nearby. I think there's a KFC nearby, so you really can't complain. Next up's Cardiff Road. I'm really going to have to get to this one next season. Norwich City. I'm going to put it in elite. Obviously, they bounce between the Premier League and the Championship. One thing I didn't like that they used to have was goal music. I don't know if they've still got that, but I'm not a fan of that. But I'm not going to let that take away my opinion that I think it looks like a really nice stadium. Yellow and green. I think that's quite unique to me because there's not a lot of stadiums that have that kind of colour pattern. And they're quite a good fan base, Norwich City as well. Decent away end as well. Not behind the goal, it's more towards the side, but still very good away day. And I think a lot of fans will want to get to Carrow Road next season. Next up, Wigan, who just came up, the DW. I think the stadium itself is quite nice. There's been times where they don't really fill it. I'm not sure what their sort of season ticket sales are looking like for this season. I'd like to think because they've been promoted, they should get good crowds. And I think the away end's quite nice as well. It's behind the goal. I'm going to put Wigan in solid. I'm going to say it's a solid stadium. And like I say, I'm expecting good things from Wigan's fans considering they've just come up from League One. Next up is Preston North End's ground, Deep Dell. And I'm going to have to put it in great. I think what I like about this is the design. It's a really unique one. It's got like players' faces on the seats. And yeah, really passionate fan base as well, Preston North End. Even if they don't have the biggest numbers, they're very vocal. So I quite like that, and the fact the away end is behind the goal, that always puts the stadium up in my estimation. So a great stadium, Preston North End. Last up is the Hawthorns, West Bromwich Albion. I really like this stadium. Last year wasn't the best for going to this stadium because as the season went on, it just kind of became a bit negative. I think the West Brom fans were kind of uninterested when the football was so boring, and you can't blame them, to be honest. But if they get this stadium rocking, it can really be in that elite category. I'm going to put it in great based on last season, though. That wraps up the stadium rankings, guys, for the 22-23 Championship season. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you've dropped a like on this video and subscribed. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.